Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider. I have a special guest today with us, a guy who is a legend in this area, 9-time Pro Bowler in the NFL. Also won a national championship at the University of Miami, and he's done a great job. And you got to think there's a spot for him in Canton when he decides to hang it up. Ed Reed, former Destrehan quarterback, and was an All-State as a safety as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us, Ed.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Let me go back a little bit with you. We talked about this. When you were coming out of Destrehan, what was the recruiting process with you? Why Miami? And where else did you look at?
The recruiting process was interesting coming out of high school because you get so many letters, you know, and you get your mind going like, oh, I could go here, I could go here. But those are just letters. You know, those letters don't mean anything. You know, the biggest thing was concentrating on getting the requirements to make it to college for me. And Miami came in there because they were under sanctions at the time and looking to change the program, and they were looking for guys that stood out. I was being recruited by LSU, Texas A&M, Tulane, Tennessee. There's a bunch of schools out there, and the biggest thing for me was where would I fit, you know, and where was society at the time. You know, for me it was about getting away. I felt like if I got away from home, my chances were better than being around in my neighborhood or being close to my neighborhood. You know, going to LSU and being 45 minutes away. I seen that, I saw that a lot, should I say, in Miami with guys that went to Miami and they were from Miami. Guys tend to go home a lot versus staying at school. And even my freshman year when I redshirted, I was in Miami, but I wanted to come home. But it was harder because of financial situation. I couldn't just say jump on a plane and come home. So God just put me in that place where I needed to be, you know, to be the best that I can be. You know, I felt like if I'd have stayed home and went to LSU, you know, I probably wouldn't have focused as much. You know, I wouldn't have did the things that I done when I was in Miami. You know, I mean, LSU is a great school, great opportunity. I played in the All-Star game up there. I had a great All-Star game up in Death Valley, and you know, the recruiting process picked up even more after that All-Star game. I'll never forget it because me and Jarvis Green balled. We had a great, it was a great tandem that we had. He rushing the quarterback and they just throwing it up, and I'm just hammering guys. And you know, Rondell Millie was at LSU at the time, and you know, the thing about it, I went on a recruiting trip. And I never really told this story. I went on a recruiting trip, and we went to some bar. They just taking recruits out. You know how we do recruit. Sure. They take recruits out, and the team kind of just, you know, not the team, but the people didn't take to the guys, the football team coming out that day for some reason. And you know, it was a big argument. And I was like, you know, this is not the picture that I saw in college.
Ed Wyatt at Miami, you guys win a national championship, beating Nebraska. And you had a local favorite with you, Reggie Wayne. That was kind of unique. Had a little bit of home with you there as your roommate.
Yeah, I mean, we both went on a bunch of recruiting trips together. We was at LSU together. We went to Miami together, and to have somebody from your hometown, from your home city, you know, it really helped. You know, Reggie's a brother to me. You know, and when we were in school, we learned to manage things together. You know, we learned to put our money together to get groceries. You know, so it was the small things that, you know, that kept you afloat. You know, when I redshirted, he was playing, you know, and he kept me focused. Like, dude, you can do this. I know you can do it. It's just a matter of when you get on the football field. Don't look at this as a bad situation, a redshirting. And at the time, it was the worst situation for me. You know, because as an athlete, you want to play. You want to play. You want to go to school and play immediately. But God has something in store for me, and I didn't see it. And at the time, and how it turned out at the end, I was like, wow, I wouldn't be in school my senior year to win a national championship if I played my freshman year. You know, I wouldn't have had many opportunities. I would have never went to Baltimore, you know, and went there as a professional if I'm coming out a year early. You know, so there's so many things that had to fall in place for me to be right here. To win the Super Bowl in New Orleans in 2012 with the Baltimore Ravens. Those things just don't fall in place if, you know, I don't redshirt. So, I mean, Reggie, man, his mom gave us the recipe to the crawfish fettuccine, so we all, man, we cooking all the time. It was such a blessing to have my brother right there, from New Orleans to keep you grounded, because being in Miami or being anywhere, being away from home, you tend to stray away a little bit. To have somebody who from home there keep you afloat, that was a blessing.
A lot of athletes do things that you do, but I'm going to tell you, Ed, you do camps this past summer. You had a camp. You do it every summer.
Yep.
You've been involved in a dedication for a playground. Why you do these things, Ed?
I mean, why not? For one, our kids are our future. Truly our kids are our future. And I mean, the playground in New Orleans, in St. Rose is much needed. There's been so many, since I've been in the NFL, since I left home, there's been too many murders in St. Rose alone. And St. Rose is only 6 streets. Now it's a couple more streets with the neighborhoods added to it, but there's a big fence that's blocking you from getting to those pretty homes over there. And those kids need it. I always tell this to my kids in camp. I tell it to kids that I talk to. I tell it to parents that sports, going to school, that's a kid's job. That's his kid's job. A parent has a job to provide, put food on the back, put food on the table, clothes on the back, shelter over your head. A kid's job at that time, not to earn money, but to get those good grades, to work out, to get in, to understand that working out is a way of life. We have so much obesity and stuff with kids and stuff like that because they're sitting around playing video games. We need to have parks in every neighborhood. Every neighborhood should have an outlet away from the streets for kids to go to. But if they don't have an outlet, the only thing they're going to do is turn to the streets. And it's either murder or jail. Those are the only things that's going to be for kids that don't have anything else to do.
You left Miami and your record, still stands, 21 interceptions per career.
Yeah.
Numerous interceptions in the pros, 106-yard, 108-yard touchdown returns with the Ravens. Super Bowl win, national championship win. Is there a fondest memory, Ed, that you can't put your hands around? It's not a stat. Is there something that really sticks out that you're most proud of?
These 14 years at this football camp, I was amazed when Jordan tweeted it yesterday. And I was like, wow, I told my director, I'm like, man, it's 14 years we've been doing this. And it's the same thing in Baltimore. We do it here, we do it in Baltimore. And that's the thing that sticks out more. It touches me because I had a mentor, Ben Parquet, who's at these camps every year and still popping me in my chest, and holding me accountable for things that, not that I should do, but things that we should do. We should do these things. We should be in the neighborhood helping our kids. I didn't have somebody from a professional team coming in doing camps around here. I don't remember it. I don't remember those opportunities to go and be with football players or just be around and get actual coaching on techniques. And more importantly, we're missing that. We're missing coaches giving kids techniques, and football is so physical. Not that we're just teaching football here, but football is such a physical sport. You're missing technique teaching, and that's something that's needed. You need to teach the teachers. It's something that's going on across America. It's going on across the country. Who's teaching the teachers? Who's policing the police? Somebody needs to teach those guys how to do their job and how to do it a certain way. If we're going missing techniques and you get on the football field, that's why guys tend to get hurt. Because coaches are just telling you to go make that tackle. But how do I do it? How do I do it? Teach them the technique. Get out there, demonstrate it to them how to go through those ladders. Don't just say go through the ladders, put one foot in, but they might not know how to run. Some kids running right leg, right arm. That's not how you run. You'll be amazed on how many guys get to the NFL and don't know how to do these things, But because of how sloppy it is, you would think that you get to a professional level, everybody know how to do it. That's not the case. That's not the case. That's not the case. That's even on the upstairs level, the people who are running the game. They never played it. So how are you going to police something that you never really played? You're just going to do your job according to what's written on the little logs or whatever that's written down on the paper. He didn't do that, so that must be a fine. No, that's not how that works. Just because the paper say curl flat. A player goes out there and he's in the curl and in the flat, and he think he's doing his job. No, you're not. Get your eye to that receiver, you know? And that's something we did. We used to coach this all the time, you know, and talk about this to coaches, but they're not teaching it, you know? But you still don't have no respect for the player because you're the coach, because you have authority. No, you need to work together. Just because you're the coach don't mean you know what you're doing.
Last question, Ed. Your footprint, your legacy, even though you have a lot of life left in you, when people say Ed Reed, how would you like to finish that statement?
He was a vessel. He was a vessel. He was part of this chain of life to help and nurture. Something positive. Something, not nothing negative, not nothing pulling somebody down. He was a vessel, part of this earth, to nurture talent. He was a light. That's all. Nothing more.
Great to see you, Ed. Thanks for taking.
Right.
Good luck to you, buddy. God
Thank you. I
bless.
appreciate it. God bless you.
We'll be back with more Prep Recruiting Insider right after this.